So I want to go back to something you said when you said you think the majority of men. Did you say bad, or you said the majority of men are something?
No, I said the majority of men that I had experienced.
Were trash. But you did say the majority of men are trash.
Okay, so question:
Yeah,
Do you also feel like the majority of women are trash?
Yes,
Okay, so you feel like it's equal. You just think most
Are
men
you-
are
Yes.
Are you
trash.
included in that category?
definitely not. Definitely
Isn't that,
100% not.
isn't that highly convenient right now?
But that's the thing also, because I'm saying not all men are trash. I've come across a lot of really good, nice guys. A lot of my friends that are male, I wouldn't put them in the category of men are trash. But the experiences, a lot of experience that
Why
I've
don't
had
you
or my
date
friends
them?
have,
Why don't you date them?
because they're not physically my type. It's not their personality. It's just that I have a friendship with them
Right.
and I'm not physically attracted to them.
But you see,
But
what
they
I'm-
are physically attractive, just not my type.
right. But you see what I'm saying? Like there are guys that would treat you well in your friend zone.
No, this was before. So since I've changed,
Uh-huh.
like if I came across a man that was everything I wanted, a good job, like respectful, all those things, 100% I would go for him. I'm not looking for red flags. I'm too old for that. I'm literally 24. Like this is the age where I want to be wifed up. I don't want to be. I don't want to be with a red flag. I know you think all women will love red flags. Like that's an immaturity
I don't think all women like red flags.
I think women are attracted to red flags.
Yeah.
But I think that's immaturity to be attracted to red
No,
flags.
I think it's just honest.
I've got a theory on this that I've worked on for a while. I think I can perfect it.
Go
So
for it.
my idea of
Do you need a whiteboard? I have one.
Yeah, she's got a whiteboard.
I have
I,
one.
I saw that one. No, I don't need that. I'll just articulate as much as I can. So I work in the nightlife industry, security industry. So I'm kind of privy to how sexual dynamics works a lot of the times, and what I see from personal observation. You're seeing a lot of girls, a lot of young pretty girls, getting with the dealers, the drillers, the fraudsters, everything that in somewhat way these kind of guys gather for themselves in a holistic way. So what I mean by that is these guys display a sense of economic wealth, money. Number two, they exude an aura of somewhat power. These are the individual things that young girls are attracted to. All women by that. But the thing was with these men are normally getting it very young at age, but they're displaying things that a man normally works to at the average age of mid-30s, 40s. And what I mean by that, you get a footballer, for example. I work in the sports industry as well, so I see this firsthand. A lot of the things that they get comes very quickly. Wealth, fame, status. By 18, 20, you could be famous. They would have a flock of women at their disposal. But the average man doesn't attain to this status until he hits his averagely mid-30s to 40s. So some of these men are displaying what it would normally take an established man to have very young at age. But what women fail to realize that these guys are still boys.
Right.
They've not matured to a level where they can understand the power that's given to them status-wise and how to deal with women. And it's like blocking a man from a sweet shop all his life and allowing him. He's going to go crazy. There's no boy. I can relate to this at a young age. When you're afforded the ability to be attracted to women, you don't know how to handle it at times. So women get with these type of guys and complain. Why is this happening? But they don't know. A lot of these men who attain this somewhat street fame and financial status, they don't know that this comes short for a man in, say, his early 20s to these type of people, but they're still kids.
So then what type of father would that child or that young man be?
Normally, that goes on to my point of the subject, normally these guys are fatherless because from anecdotal and personal experience, I know guys like this, I've grown up with guys like this, and I see it, and probably up until this day, I still see the fact that when there is a lack of father in the home, you don't have a good example. You don't have a example, so to speak, of how to be a man. A child looks at his father. I remember the way I used to look at my dad growing up, and he was everything I wanted to be until you get into a certain age. But his traits rub off on you: his work ethic, his discipline, his authority, his masculinity, his manhood. When a boy doesn't have that at home, he finds it elsewhere.
Right.
He finds it in the community. He finds it in the streets, because every child is looking for a figure. For every child is looking for father, in females and males. And when men don't get it at home, they find it elsewhere, and unfortunately,
So do you think there's a lack of masculine, good, steady father figures right now?
absolutely.
Do you think do you think that's what's portrayed, or you think that's real life?
It's portrayed and it's real life. Like
Right.
you gave the example of The Simpsons. I grew up watching The Simpsons, and I remember seeing Homer. As funny as he was, this wasn't my dad, personally.
Right.
This wasn't my father figure. He was just a comedy act. But a lot of people see this, especially for the ones who don't have dads. They see it, they grow up on it, although it is comedic. It is an example of how men are portrayed in society. And when they grow up without such a male figure that they can look up to, you get what you get.
My father is a prime example of the thing that I was supposed to avoid, essentially. I don't know my father since my father left me and my mom when I was 1 year old. And my mom always told me that he was allowed to always be part of my life, even if he wasn't part of her life. And she was expecting him to do so, but he just wasn't. When I was 4 or 5 years old, I got a cheap toy motorcycle. And then that was it. That was the one time I heard from him until I was 16. And then he met me just so that he can give me my signature so I can change my name. And after that,
Change it to his name.
change it to my mom's family name, right?
Oh,
Because I
wow.
was on his name. And then he was he beat himself in the chest with his fist, oh, I want to buy you a guitar or something like that. I want to spend more time with you. And I'm like, I don't believe that, but I'm gonna stay quiet, see what you're gonna do. That never happened again. Again, I haven't heard from him since. I was like, fair enough. Now, funnily enough, I actually had a message from my mom saying, your dad's been looking for you. And I'm like, look, I'm 31 years old now. I've achieved more in my life than he achieved in his. I know how he ended up. I'm not curious to be part of his life. And I was like, I'm not interested. I think that my mom was a better role model, better masculine role model for me than my dad could ever been.
Are you saying that your mother had to fulfill that role?
She had to. She had no choice.
Right.
Because otherwise...
But in the ideal world, you would have preferred it to be him.
No. I would have preferred it to be someone else that has a bit of cojones.
Yeah.
A bit more responsibility. Look at me. I'm 31 years old. I don't have a child because I've been responsible. I've been engaging in sexual activities responsibly. I've been protecting myself. I'm not married because I haven't found the right person. I'm not jumping in, willy-nilly into whatever situation just so I can be a father. I'm waiting for the right moment. And I feel like he's made all the mistakes that he could have possibly made. And he was a role model for me in terms of what not to do.
Right. So when it's time for you to become a father, you know what not to do.
Yes.
Right.
If somehow, by accident, let's say unlikely, but by accident, I have a kid, I guess I have to just drop everything. It's not about my life anymore,
I can talk from personal experience because I share the same sentiments as you, because I was raised without my father, and he disappointed me, and he had 5 children that he disappointed. So it wasn't just me. But what it done to me is that it made me understand what I don't want to be like. But a lot of the times when it comes to fatherhood and children who don't have fathers, is that they turn out just like their fathers. They do the same things. They repeat the same cycles that their father did. So I just commend you on that. So, well done. Keep going.
Just to say, this is an example. Just because my father was like that doesn't mean that society should look down on fathers as a whole, because then you instill that sentiment, and then men think oh, well, everyone else is doing it, why are you looking at me for? And that gives them the opportunity to for them to be irresponsible. We should encourage people. We should encourage like fathers. Like we should see fatherhood the same way as we see motherhood, because then we avoid all these problems. You know.
Because I'll read something. Because in 2020, there were 15.3 million children in the United States with a single mother, without a father in their life. And the amount of single fathers there were is 3.2 million. So single motherhood, like when I asked the question before, like do mothers, get seen as the better parent? If a child, did we say something?
No, go ahead.
Yeah, if a child does get into a situation where he has to go with one of the parents, it's normally the mother that they go with.
Well, women are incentivized to do that because they get more child support if the father gets less custody. And so like we'll complain all day about men not being in, the kids' lives or whatever. And not yours was a different situation, but like we're literally paying women to get the father out of the home. Even I had Auntie on here, Auntie Jenny.
Auntie Jenny.
And she was saying how like back in her day, the girls wanted to move out of the house, they'd just get pregnant because the government would give them a apartment.
Yep.
Is that a good way to bring a child into the world?
Yeah.
And it honestly just speaks to like women nowadays.
My mom told me my dad did not give any sort of money, no alimony, no nothing, And I was thinking about it, like, shit, if something happens, if I inherit something, because at the end of the day, he was my father, what should I do? And I came to the conclusion, out of integrity, I have to refuse it. I have to refuse anything that man gives me, because that then it means that like I'm just unable to make my own future without him. Like, out of principle, you haven't been there. I don't need your, what are you doing?
I don't know.
I
would take it.
Yeah, me too, man. Take it
Depends
start
how
again.
much, yeah. Depends how much.
Yeah, like,
you know what I mean? A few casinos and that.
I mean,
I understand how you feel.
He wouldn't. Nothing that he could give me would be enough for me to justify giving away my integrity.
Okay, fair enough.
He's not successful.
So how has it affected you? Not having your father around.
It's been hard because I didn't, as a child, I didn't know how to be masculine. I would get beaten up, bullied a lot at school. I would be afraid to fight back. I had the glass, made of glass syndrome. I was afraid that if I punched someone, like, they would just shatter, because I don't know, like, I just was not taught to defend myself. My mom, she couldn't really educate me on that side of stuff. So it definitely had an impact on me. I had to learn everything I had to learn from the streets. I had to go through the hard bits, get robbed, get beaten up. And it was a grueling situation, but I think I came out of it quite well and